All right, picture this. You sit down at your desk. You're ready to tackle the day, right? But the absolute second you wake up your machine, you're hit with this subtle, modern kind of chaos. 40 open browser tabs just staring right back at you. A desktop completely littered with unorganized screenshots, and this endless, relentless barrage of unread notification badges glowing at you. Before you've even typed a single word or honestly even formed a coherent thought, your brain is already processing an avalanche of digital noise. And the crazy part? We're so incredibly used to this setup that we barely even register the friction it's causing us.
Now, we often trick ourselves into thinking this digital clutter is totally harmless, mostly because, well, it doesn't take up physical space on a real desk. But if we look at cognitive psychology, that couldn't be further from the truth. Every single visual element left open on your screen, every single tab, every lingering file, every unread alert, it's an active tax on your working memory. It's quite literally draining your cognitive battery in the background, siphoning off the exact energy you need for deep analytical thinking.
And that leads us straight to the root of the problem: context switching. Imagine your central focus being rapidly yanked in 5 different directions at once by emails, alerts, and open windows. When your digital environment is fragmented like that, your brain gets forced into this state of constant micro-context switching. Your attention is fractured before you even start working. So, a lot of people think they're suffering from writer's block or maybe just a lack of motivation, when in reality, they're just experiencing massive cognitive overload caused by a fractured mental environment.
So, to truly reclaim your focus, you have to fundamentally shift how you interact with your screens. You need to build a digital sanctuary that actively protects your attention, instead of a machine that exploits it. Welcome to this Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through this material today because we're going to do something highly practical and deeply impactful. We are designing a calm digital workspace entirely from scratch.
Here's our roadmap for the journey today, moving from cognitive chaos to a focused sanctuary. First, we'll cover the cost of chaos, then the dopamine trap. Third is the digital declutter framework, followed by the analog-first workflow. And finally, we'll wrap up with the slow living philosophy. Let's jump in. Section 2. The dopamine trap, notification design and variable rewards.
Okay, we really have to understand the opponent we're up against here. Your devices and the apps on them, they weren't just accidentally designed to be distracting. No, they were engineered a lot like slot machines to break your flow states using what's called the hook model. It kicks off with a trigger, like a sharp artificial ping or a bright red notification bubble. That prompts an action from you. Then comes the variable reward. Maybe it's an exciting email or maybe it's just spam, but it keeps your brain guessing. And finally, your investment keeps you tied to the platform. Every red dot, every badge, they are weaponized triggers designed specifically to spike your dopamine. They essentially train your brain to constantly seek out these micro-rewards, pulling you away from your deep work and trapping you in this endless loop of shallow, reactive tasks.
This demands a total paradigm shift. If you try to rely purely on your own willpower to resist these weaponized triggers, honestly, you're going to lose. The friction working against you is just way too high. True digital minimalism isn't about endlessly testing your personal discipline. It is entirely about friction. It's about re-engineering your ecosystem so that engaging with a distraction requires actual significant effort, while slipping into a state of deep focus just becomes the effortless default path.
Which brings us to Section 3, the digital declutter framework, re-engineering your ecosystem.
To turn your messy computer into a powerhouse platform for deep work, we're going to tackle 3 distinct layers of your machine. Layer 1 is the horizon, which is your desktop. Layer 2 is the intake, managing your files. And Layer 3 is the gateway, which dictates how you actually use your web browser. Let's break exactly how each of these can totally transform your workflow.
Let's start with Layer 1, the horizon. You need to think of your desktop exactly like you would a physical tabletop in your office. You have to keep it completely clear, sitting at absolute 0. No stray documents, no random screenshots. Just a clean, high-resolution aesthetic wallpaper. Plus, you should set your application Docker taskbar to auto-hide. Why? Because when you turn on your screen, your brain should immediately feel a sense of open, boundless space. It should never feel like you've just walked into a room and been handed a massive, messy list of chores.
Next up, we move to Layer 2, the intake. And the magic number right here is 3. Listen, if you want to protect your focus, you have got to stop creating these infinite, deeply nested folders that basically turn your hard drive into a maze. Instead, we're going to consolidate everything into a highly intentional, minimalist 3-folder system. Let's look at exactly how these 3 folders function. First, you've got your inbox folder. This is the holding zone for all raw downloads and incoming files. Second, your active projects folder.
This is the only place you store the files for the intellectual work you are doing right this second. And third, the archive folder. This one is absolutely crucial. This is where everything else goes to sleep, tucked neatly out of sight. When you adopt this structure, your digital files are organized, sure, but more importantly, the sheer volume of your past and future work isn't screaming for your attention while you're just trying to focus on the present.
Finally, we reach layer 3, the gateway, otherwise known as your web browser. The internet is literally a fire hose of information. So to protect your attention here, you've got to implement a strict one-task, one-window policy. If you're researching a specific topic, do that and only that. The source material highly recommends using a tab manager extension. When you need to switch tasks, just use the extension to save your session and close the browser down completely with a single click. The golden rule? Never, ever let unfinished research or open tabs bleed over into your resting state or your next task. By structuring these 3 layers, the horizon, the intake, and the gateway, your computer literally stops feeling like a crowded, noisy office and starts feeling like a pristine, quiet library.
Section 4. The analog first workflow, the ultimate defense.
Now, here's a really fascinating twist. The absolute best defense against digital fragmentation, it isn't actually digital at all. I want you to contrast the standard modern morning, flipping open a laptop, getting hit by that cold blue light, and immediately reacting to terrifying headlines, a flooded inbox, and a barrage of Slack messages. Contrast that with sitting quietly at a desk with nothing but a heavy, premium paper journal and a pen. It just brings this incredible, intentional, grounded warmth to the start of your day.
The absolutely crucial number for this defense is 30. Before you open a single device, before you even glance at a web browser or check your phone in the morning, you need to give yourself the first 30 minutes of your deep work block completely offline. During those 30 offline minutes, you write down your intentional directives. You literally just sit with your notebook and map out your core tasks. If you're writing, physically write down your core arguments. Outline your thoughts completely from scratch. You see, when you sketch out your ideas on physical paper first, you're establishing an incredibly solid mental blueprint. You are clarifying exactly what you want to accomplish using your own uninfluenced brain power, long before the internet gets a single chance to tell you what to think or what to worry about.
Because when you finally do open that laptop, the dynamic is completely changed. You're not logging on to browse or scroll or put out other people's fires. You are logging on with a specific tactical mission. Your one and only goal is to execute the physical blueprint you just carefully constructed in the real world. This analog boundary keeps you firmly in the driver's seat of your own attention span. It single-handedly prevents your morning focus from being hijacked by the very first email or headline you happen to see.
Section 5. The slow living philosophy, protecting your cognitive freedom. As we bring all these practical steps together, it is so important to understand the broader mindset that actually makes this sustainable. As the source material puts it, intellectual slow living isn't about avoiding technology. It's about building a conscious barrier around your cognitive freedom. This whole methodology, clearing the desktop, limiting your folders, managing tabs, starting analog, literally none of it is about throwing your computer in the trash. It's simply about designing a digital environment that serves your focus rather than dividing it. It's about making absolutely sure that your tools are working for you and not the other way around.
And that brings us to a final, essential question you have to ask yourself after reviewing this explainer. Have you built a digital environment that serves your focus or one that constantly divides it? It is time to take back control of your screens, clear out that hidden noise, and protect your mind. Reclaim your digital space, refine your focus, and start building your sanctuary today.